Hi, it's Ann. Thanks for stopping by. Look at these cute little page edge embellishments. I saw Tina from Shabby Dabby Doodah do these the other night, and I just thought they were so cute and so simple. All they are is stacks of book page, torn book page, and a little strip of fabric down the middle. You know, these I sewed and stitched together. This was one of my fabric tapes, and so I just used that adhesive already on the back of it to adhere it down to the strip. You could use it, you could mount it to something a little heftier and have it be a great belly band for a page. But it just is also super just for a little, just something pretty on the edge of a page. And I tucked one into this journal that I'm just beginning to decorate. And where did I put it? Here it is, I think. There we go. Doesn't that look nice on just a bog standard plain sheet that, you know, that's just going to be a journaling page, but to take up a little bit of space, but to decorate the side, that edge, just so there's something a little interesting to look at alongside your written text. It would be super cute as a, you know, as a belly band or something there as well. You know, make it go this way. You could have it be an embellishment on a tag and glue the whole thing down. I just think they're just cute, but I love the idea of that little bit of fabric just being stitched or adhered down onto that stack. They're very thin, so they don't add a lot of extra texture. The thing that really made me want to do this, though, was the idea of using sort of a food packaging theme. And I've been collecting way too much food packaging lately, and we're going into high season for cooking, and a lot of labels are going to be coming and going through my kitchen. So I thought, wouldn't it be fun to use food packaging for the same theme that Tina introduced? So I pulled out a couple of pages of cookbook, a couple of different kinds of cookbook, and I have a whole lot of food packaging. I've got a pumpkin label, and I've got, you know, a sugar bag, and I've got, you know, quite a few bread wrappers. I've got some tea bags. I mean, this is just, you know, I don't save all of my food packaging, but I say, you know, when the sugar bag gets emptied, I always keep those because that's always good paper. But let's start and see if we can use Tina's formula and just make some of these little page edgers. There's lots of page tearing involved, paper tearing involved with this, so we'll just get ready for that. And I have no problem doing that. It's a little bit challenging when it's a larger piece. But we're just going to tear a few strips out of this cookbook. And I deliberately chose a cookbook that was larger because I kind of wanted to have some of these strips be about 8.5 inches tall so that they would fit on the edge of my standard size journal page. So the measurement isn't all that important, but just so I can have things super useful that I don't have to alter too much when it comes time to put them in a journal, I will go ahead and make them be about 8.5 inches tall. I think I'm going to tear this down just a little bit more because I don't want to take up a whole lot of space, writing space on my journal pages, but enough to make a really pretty edge. I might end up pulling this. I think I'm going to make a couple of these because I'm not really certain if I want to put this pumpkin pie label at the bottom. Now see, for Tina's that she did, there were, let me just bring this out again. There was 2 layers of book page, you know, one at the bottom, another one, there's just a little bit of that showing on either side of this fabric strip. But it's nice to have the contrast in the 2 different kinds of text, and we're going to replicate that idea with this cookbook and the food packaging. But I guess I did, I must have cut that previously, so that's getting in the way of my tearing plan, but that's okay. This is, I think it's a sunset cookbook, and again, I like the larger pages because I use them for lots of different things. There were so many pretty illustrations in this cookbook. I've had it for several years, and I've gone through and cut a lot of the illustrations out of it. So the book is becoming almost unusable, but I did have a few pages that were still sort of whole. And let's do one more, as long as we're in a tearing mode here. We're on a tear, we might say. I will ink these. So I think that adds to the whole thing. And, you know, I had in mind sort of a food, sort of a celebratory sort of journal. Maybe it's something you could use at Thanksgiving, you know, if you're having people over for Thanksgiving, you know, maybe family members that you're getting together with. What if you passed around a food journal, sort of a nostalgic recipe journal, and people write down, you know, some of their food memories from when you've been together before. I think that's a fun way to celebrate holidays. With this, I think, how wide is this label? It's 4 inches. If I tear it down the middle, and this could be the base of my little embellishment strip. I love the colors in pumpkin pie. When I make pumpkin pie, I do use the Libby's canned pumpkin. I don't buy the pumpkin and strain that and roast that. I do roast butternut squash. I love that for soup and things like that. But the Libby, the pumpkin, I get the canned pumpkin. Maybe I'm being nostalgic with that because that's what my mother used as well. I only have one torn edge here, but I guess I could come in and make a torn edge here, but I think I'm just going to use the label as it stands. Now, what I had in mind was to put, yeah, this one's a little bit longer. This bit off because I do want the text that's showing to be kind of desserty in nature. I don't want to have little descriptions of onions and garlic peeking out from the edge when it's on this pumpkin label. There, that's better. Let me ink these edges. And what I'm going to do is put just a little bit of glue just down the middle, just to hold it in place until I can get it to the sewing machine. But on top of that, I'm going to put a little strip of fabric. And I tried to get some, pull out some of my fabric that would be appropriate for a food theme. Yeah, I've got a little bit of, I'm covering up a lot of the pumpkin pie. I could come all the way over here and have it offset, but I think I'm gonna, believe me, there's gonna be plenty more of those labels coming through. This is one left over from last year. I've got to make a pumpkin dessert this weekend for a potluck I'm going to at my friend Wendy's house. And go. Let's just do a little bit of a measure. Anyway, there's going to be plenty more Libby's pumpkin labels coming through the Kenlin kitchen. So if I like this idea, I will be making more. Now, what do I want to use for my fabric strip? This has some kind of fall tones, and this is from, I think, some napkins that I had. Don't have a lot of fall or food-themed fabrics. These are just quilting fabrics, quilting cottons. But I do have these coffee beans. I think I like that. Yeah, I think I'm going to put that coffee bean down there. And again, just a little bit of glue stick, which is not meant to hold it permanently, but it will adhere it temporarily until I can sew it. There we go. And I want lots of those tattered, frayed edges showing. Snip that off. Let's do another one while we're here. Maybe I could do one just like this one, but I think just for variety's sake, I'm going to choose a different, I'm going to use this as the base again, but I'll choose a different cookbook. This yellow, this is, oh, I kind of like this sort of buttery color. Yeah, this is like the church ladies cookbook, or hospital auxiliary cookbook, or something like that, with these typed and reproduced recipes. That always used to be the kind of cookbook you would always want to get, because they would have the best home cooked recipes in it, and some of them were really good. We don't really eat that way anymore. In many cases, a lot of those recipes are, I mean, it's stuff I grew up with, but a lot of them are a little on the heavy, dense side. Now, I think this piece by itself was 8.5, yes, so I'm going to make everything sort of adapt to that length. Get this off the bottom. I think this will be super cute for a kind of a fall themed journal when you feel like writing about foodie kinds of things, or maybe not. I mean, it can be just perfectly eclectic. It does not have to dictate the content of what you write about. I've got more of this coffee. I have that dish towel might work okay. Boy, this is really, really ravelly. It feels like it could just become nothing but thread if I look at it very long. But it also has that kitchen-y kind of flair. So I'm enjoying that. Well, let's pull out another kind of food packaging, and then I'm going to take all of them to the sewing machine, and then I'll be back and we'll look and see. You know, there might be a little bit of a food themed decorating that we might want to do. So that's an option that's going to be available to us anyway. Lots of scraps in this one. Some of these I will keep for some more page edgers. Do I want to use the sugar bag? I think I might want to use one of these bread bags instead. Yeah, why don't I go ahead and cut this open? And sort of slice this here. Just a sometimes these bread bags do get, they'll get some grease stains or something on them, and I don't want to keep anything that has any kind of food residue on it. That's just something you just from a hygiene standard that you don't want in your craft room. You don't want to draw the bugs, let's be honest, that can happen. But if things are clean, if you've wiped, I usually wipe mine down with just a little bit of vinegar on a paper towel or a cloth and get them nice and clean. And then they're perfectly okay to use. Cut this open. Grand Central Bakery is a wonderful bakery here in Portland, Oregon. And I might just do a tear with my ruler instead of hand tearing here. Because sometimes these thin brown papers don't tear quite as easily as a book page. There we go. Is that going to be a little too wide? No, because I've in my trimming, I've done, made some really narrow book page strips. I think I might. That went off kilter a little bit. Bring us down to about the height that we want. Wouldn't this be fun to open up? I mean, again, it does not have to be food themed. I'm thinking food themed because I'm thinking about, the baking and stuff that I need to do in the weeks ahead. But it certainly is not necessary. You can use, junk for junk journals. I love using junk in any kind of junk journal. And isn't it nice to take that, that paper that you would otherwise be throwing away and put it to an artistic use? We don't have to, we could alter it. We could paint over it and make it not even look like a bread bag, or we can celebrate the fact that it's a bread bag. Maybe I will use, this is my one other piece of somewhat food or kitchen-y themed fabric, and with the red, maybe I can use those cherries. So we'll go with that. And tear this down to about there. I have quite a few because I've been saving, again, I don't save all my food packaging because that would be, that would just turn my craft room into, a bigger junk pile than I want it to be. But I do pretty well organize the packaging that I do keep. And one thing I'm going to be doing pretty soon, if you're interested, and my guess is you probably will be, I'm going to be doing a little video on a real easy way to use the boxes that we keep from our food packaging. That always looks like it could be a nice size journal, but the spine is usually a little thick. I have a real easy way to cut that down to size. So if you're interested in that, I'll do a little demo of that soon as well. There's that, and yeah, I think that will look really, really cute. Let's do that one, and then maybe we'll do one more. and then I'll go sew. And then we can decorate a little bit if we choose to. There's that cookbook page. And this little cherry print. Cherries are not a fall fruit, but if you use canned cherries, you could use a fabric like this and use the label. I really love fresh cherries so much, and we're so lucky to be in kind of a fruit-intensive region here in the Pacific Northwest that I don't think I've had canned cherries for quite a long time. But if I had a hankering for some in the wintertime, that is where I would go. Okay, this is going to look cute. We've got these 3 done already, or not done, but done to this point. Let's do one more. And what's that going to be? I don't know. Here's another piece. This is technically food packaging, but it's fast food packaging. This is from a bag of from Chipotle when we did some carry out recently. This is heavier, so I think I could tear this one by hand. Use the ruler to get it to be the 8.5 width, or length, I mean. And we'll get it torn. Yeah, the carry-out bags at Chipotle have, this is the gusset, you know, in the side of the bag. And one time we brought home some Chipotle, and I thought, oh, save that. That would be fun to use, but I hadn't used it for anything yet. We don't get a lot of Chipotle to bring home. We stop there every now and again if we happen to be in the area and it's lunchtime, because I like a good Chipotle bowl. Yeah, I think I'm going to make this the base again and make this about 2 inches wide, and I'll put the book page, the cookbook page, on top of it. Yeah, that's going to tear fairly nicely. This feels really good to be using this. It's been sitting in my food packaging stack for quite a long time. When was the last time we brought home Chipotle? It was maybe a year ago. I don't know. And this is inked up now. Shall we use this yellow? Maybe I will go to, I have this. I think I like the text of this old cookbook a little bit better, and it's shorter. Oh, no, that'll still be okay. Okay, this is desserty, but that's okay. We don't have to get too terribly on the nose. I want this to be a little bit narrower so I catch some of that text from the Chipotle bag. And back to the inking. Yeah, so making little journal covers out of food packaging will be something I'll do again soon. I've got my craft fair coming up, and from the time when I film this, it's just a few days away. So I'm pretty well ready. I have a nice bunch of journals there, some decent inventory. You know, I think I want this text to show top and bottom a little bit more, so I'm going to cut down the length there. Anyway, I've got a good amount of inventory stacked up. It's a very popular craft bazaar that's here at Neighborhood Community Center. And I get to set up on Monday, or on get to set up on Friday night, and then I will be busy all day on Saturday. Yeah, that's just a little scrap of that coffee bean, but I think that will be fine. I hear my daughter just came in the door upstairs. So when I pause to go to the sewing machine, I'll say hello to her. And great. Good, off to the sewing machine we go. I'll be back in a minute. Okay, I'm back from the sewing machine. And I just think these are looking super cute. I need to cut them apart here. I didn't do that before I turned the camera back on, but I think these are just going to be super handy, because so many times, I don't know about you, but so many times when I'm completing a journal, I find I have all of these extra, all of these really blank pages, and I like a journal that does have a lot of room just to write in, but I also don't like a completely dull page. As you know, I do lots of stenciling. I'll do lots of, adding, little glue on things in the corners, but this little page edge thing, I just thought it was really charming. When I saw Tina's video, and if I forgot to say this before, obviously I will link it below so you can enjoy it if you, in fact, had not seen it. And I just wanted to kind of think about this idea of using some of this food packaging. I think these look so cute. All right, now let's see if we can, they look adorable just as they are. Now let's change them. I don't know that I want to change them, but I want to know that that's an option that I could if I wanted to. Let's pull these coffee ones out first. And I have my little pack of food-related cutouts, my little envelope. And this is just food and cooking in general. There's a vintage pizza. That wouldn't go on it. Strawberries wouldn't really go on it. There's some vegetables that I drew some whimsical faces on. I've cut out some of these. I've not cut out some of these. What about that little basket of apples? No, I don't think that's right. I wish I had some pumpkin pie. Well, I wish I had some pumpkin pie on various different levels. What else do I have here? I haven't dug in here for a while. There's a turkey. There's some bacon. This might be a fool's errand here. I don't think I want that rolling pin. Although, you know what? I'm kind of, this rolling pin's been sitting around for a long time, and I haven't known what to do with it. I think I might be okay with that rolling pin. Do I like it there? Or do I like it there? Somehow it's feeling okay to me there. Do I like it better than... Oh, there's nothing at all. I'm going to have to pull out a journal and put it in situ, as they say, and see what looks better. Okay, there's a nice blank page. There's something that it could sit on. I'll be like at the optometrist, when they show you what looks better, 1 or 2, 3 or 4. Okay, there's 1 or 2. I think, you know what, I'm somehow looking positively at that rolling pin. And let me look at some of these other options. There's knives, there's a little turkey. Yep. I have now entered the overthinking stage of the project, which is always dangerous. So I'm just going to put this little rolling pin on here. And the only reason that I am using Fabri-Tac or 3-in-1, same thing, is because I really want it to adhere to that strip of fabric in the middle. There we go. It still is super thin. That fabric has practically no height at all, so it's not like this glue-on is going over a big bumpy thing. And I finally used up that rolling pin. I can't even remember where that came from, but it's, I mean, that thing has been in my stash for at least a couple of years. Let's look and see if there's anything else here. Some of these mushrooms, and this too came off of food packaging. Nope, that's a little too much brown. I think the rest of these, I think I'm going to leave, oh, there's some vintage Jello mold. Oh, Jello. Yeah, I could have fun just looking through all of these little food snippets. However, there's no reason to keep on doing so. I think this is great all by itself. So I'm not going to alter this one. I think this cherry one is pretty all by itself because there's enough color with that background piece. And this one, let's look through and see if anything jumps out at us. Oh, now there is a bag of flour. I'm liking that. That'll be a nice little add-on for this one. So we'll have 2 page edgers that we've decorated minimally, and 2 that we haven't. This is just a little sketch from that same Sunset cookbook, but I just did some tearing around it. Do I want to ground it with anything? How would it look with some plain brown behind it? That might just make just a little bit too busy. I will check that out though. Here, let me. There's a little bit of brown. Maybe I'll just do a little fussy tearing around here. I don't want to glue it down on there yet in case I decide not to do it. So I think I might anchor it down on this piece of packing paper with just a little bit of washi tape. Come here and start over with my tearing. There we go. And that'll let me do a pretty good fussy tear around the original shape. Of this little piece harvested from the cookbook. Barely coming around the edge here. I might be throwing good crafting after bad here. And take me a minute to clean up my mess, but it's been a while since I've looked in that envelope. So since I'm going to be doing probably some food-related crafting, I should know what's in that little envelope, shouldn't I? Okay, this is preserved. And we'll just see how that works. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to the craft fair. Last year, it was a lot of fun. And that was the first time, at last year's event at the same community center, that was the first time I ever sold any journals. I was mostly selling cards, and I had just a bunch of journals that I had, accumulated, and I thought, oh, I don't know if anybody's going to be interested in these weird things called junk journals. But I thought I'll take some along, and I sold almost all my junk journals before I sold a single card. So, all my glues here. Yeah, I think I like that with that little bit of brown. So I'm going to get that on its little background piece. And I'll be covering up the Libby's part of that label, but Libby won't mind this time. Put a little bit of Fabri-Tac just on the fabric portion. And there's this little bag of flour. Again, very thin layers here, so it's not all lumpy. Okay, good. Well, I've got a bit of a mess to clean up. I won't make you watch me do that, but I will say thank you so much for watching, and go enjoy Tina's video if you would like to do that. I bet you will, and have some fun making some very simple page edgers using whatever kind of packaging you have in your house right now. We'll see you soon, guys. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.